Okay, welcome along. My name is Steve Wells, and I'm very fortunate today to be interviewing my friend and colleague, Emma Watson. Hello, Emma.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm exceedingly well. We are both in Western Australia. I'm in Perth, and Emma is in a beautiful city south of Perth called Bunbury.
A very windy city today.
It's windy and it's pouring, so apparently there might be a little bit of rattling in the background every now and then in this video. So.
Yeah.
We're just going to go for it because Emma has some fantastic stuff to share about tapping for weight loss. And Emma is someone who isn't just, presenting information about this. She has the personal experience of tapping for her own weight loss. In fact, if you don't mind, Emma, I want to talk about you and who you are and all that kind of stuff. But I think for this particular topic, I think the before and after is actually a really good place to start, don't you?
I'll let you go there straight away, Steve. Go for it.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Actually, no. Emma is a psychologist. She's a colleague of mine. She's fantastic. I've sent a number of clients her way. And she also has been using tapping since 2002. And we've had a lot of connections about that, got together and discussed working with clients and so on. But Emma has also the distinction of using tapping for her own weight loss and having some success, which has lasted now for 12 years, and to the point where she's actually able to maintain her now less weight than what she had before without any effort. So I just want to show you your before photo, if that's okay, Emma.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Yes. So this photo, Steve, was taken in 2004. It was at a school ball. I was working in that school at the time as a school psychologist. That man sitting next to me was my then boyfriend, my now husband. And I squeezed myself into that dress. In fact, as I remember, my husband actually went to the ball early, so we travelled in separate cars. He was part of the team that set up for the students. And I couldn't get the dress up at the back, and I thought it was just because I couldn't reach. And when I arrived, I got a friend to sort of, zip me up the front away. And she said, Emma, the zip won't go. You're too big for the dress. And I said, look, you've got to make this work. So I, did the whole breathe in thing. And the zip did go up and held, but look, I was very uncomfortable. I was really straining, the seams were really bulging in that dress.
Yeah. So we can't, see you fully today, but I thought I would include an after photo, which is one that you had taken recently.
Yeah, so this photo was taken about 2 months ago. I just had some photographs taken for an office I've moved into, and I got some new shots of me done. So that's very recent, that photo.
Fantastic. And this is 12 years down the track, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stop sharing and bring you back into full view for everybody. And it'll be on speaker view now. And I just want to talk to you about what you did, because I think it will be helpful for people who are struggling with their own weight issues and for people who want to learn about using tapping with weight issues, because the big problem with this area is that, it's not something that you just do a little bit of tapping on and it's suddenly all fixed.
Yes. Yeah.
So take us back to that time when you started to use tapping on this, and what did you actually do? How did it work?
Okay. So my weight issues started at around age 13, and by the time I got to tapping on this issue, I was around 26. So I'd had sort of 13 years of, just dieting and feeling terrible about myself, my weight going up and down, going to the gym, doing all these sort of punishing schedules, and it just wasn't working for me. I was just actually getting bigger and bigger. So I was at a really desperate point. I was feeling very unhappy, really quite depressed. And just by, coincidence, synchronicity, I got an email about tapping for weight loss, just in a newsletter I was signed up to. And I thought, look, I don't think this is going to work, but I'm so desperate, I'll do anything. And I accessed that information. And then what I did was I sat down, and I've actually still got the sheets here to show you, Steve. I wrote out just on some A4 paper, and it's so old, it's actually got rust where the paper clips were.
Wow.
And I just wrote down on just a notepad, just every reason I thought that I was overweight. So I included things like I'm lazy, I have no motivation, I have these physical issues. I'm going to get bigger and bigger as I get older. I'm always going to be overweight. And that's where I started from, writing that list of anything and everything I thought could be some reasons why I was carrying weight and why I couldn't let it go permanently.
So a lot of these things are like your beliefs about yourself and about your weight and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, and those things I believed at that time to be 100% true. I really, they were core beliefs to me. I had been overweight for such a long time. I really thought that I would never really get past this. I thought, perhaps the tapping would help a little bit, but I really didn't think that it would be as life-changing as it has been for me.
Okay, so you wrote all those those things down, everything you could think of that might be causing your weight or reasons why you had the weight, and what you believed about yourself for having it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then what did you do with that?
Then I started tapping, and I wasn't doing very much. I didn't really invest perhaps as much time as I would do now in retrospect. I was doing 15 minutes here and there a few times a week. And I did that probably for around 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
I didn't get everything down to 0, but I got it around, 3 out of 10, believed it a little bit, but less. And then for some reason, I just decided, okay, I'm putting that list to one side now, and I moved on with life. Over the next 18 months, that extra weight just sort of sorted itself out. It came off very gradually, and my body found a weight that I've been able to maintain for all this time.
Wow. So this is the big difference, because, we're talking about this, and we're talking about the concept of set point and how your body struggles to maintain you at a certain weight. Once that, it seems for some reason easy for people to change their set point to be higher and then harder to reduce it, because the body kind of, body, mind or whatever, unconscious, struggles to keep you at that weight. And in fact makes it harder for you to lose the weight, changes your metabolism and all kinds of things to make it hard for you to do that.
Absolutely, and that was something I directly tapped on. I wrote something like, my body wants to keep me at these numbers. My body wants to keep me fat. I'm always going to be this way. I very deliberately targeted that issue too in those 4 pages of handwritten notes.
Okay, so I know you were talking about, like, you were doing it on all your beliefs, and you were doing the tapping on those, and presumably you tuned into the belief and saw how much it upset you, and then did some tapping. And how did you go about that?
Just exactly like you say, I took one belief, 1 page at a time, and just thought, right, read it out loud. How much do I believe this today? Did a bit of tapping, as much as I had time for, and then put the list, back on my desk to remind me to pick it up again later in the week. But really, I was very skeptical, and I really thought that it would at best help a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we first talked about this like about 6 or 7 years ago, and I know you wrote an article on, that I put on our website, EFTdownunder.com, and I remember you saying that some of these beliefs, you weren't even sure whether anything was happening because you didn't necessarily register a change.
No, I didn't feel any different. Most of the time I tapped on this, Steve, I felt no difference. And prior to that, I really only used tapping for things like, getting ready to do a presentation to a school. And when I'd done that kind of tapping, I felt different. I felt more confident. I felt, clearer in my mind. With this work, I would do it and feel no difference whatsoever.
Wow.
Am I wasting my time? Is this really changing anything? But the changes were so subtle and yet so powerful.
So I want to know how on earth you got yourself to keep doing it, because this has got to be the biggest issue with weight loss, is the lack of feedback on, efforts. It takes so long for most people to get feedback or whatever.
And I think this is where my desperation served me really well. When I say I was desperate, I think that word actually underplays how bad I was feeling, Steve. I was really at a very low point. And I knew that my weight issues were, one of the reasons I was feeling so terrible about myself. And I had so much self-hatred. And I think that desperation was the thing that I really knew I had to change something. And I was just clinging onto anything I could find. And thankfully, this idea of tapping for weight loss came into my life.
Well, and I remember you saying to me, you know, you talked about some of those shifts being very subtle, or they weren't really necessarily noticeable. You know, okay, obviously some things you noticed a difference in how intense you felt, and other things you didn't notice anything at all. And you said something like, you know, something Gary Craig has said about, you know, the big shifts are sometimes the most subtle, or something like that.
Yeah, it was just one of those synchronistic events. I was sort of feeling this way, and a newsletter from him popped up on my email, scanned through it, and he said something like, subtle changes in life are the most powerful. And that kept me going, because I knew I was making subtle changes. I knew that some of the foods that I couldn't keep in the house, that I would buy a packet of bread roll, these certain bread rolls, and, you know, start eating them in the car on the way from the shop to my house, and it's not a big distance, believe me. And I wouldn't be able to keep them for more than 2 days if I was doing really well, usually a day. So I noticed differences like that straight away.
So you were tapping on all those beliefs and anything that you could think of that was contributing and so on, but you were also tapping on those foods that you had those cravings for as well.
Yeah, and there were some really unusual ones, a mixture of savoury and sweet. The foods that I couldn't keep in the house, or I would eat whole packets of. I also had a thing for chocolate-covered almonds. You could buy them in a red box.
So when you talk about that now, you have a big smile on your face. What does that do to you now, though, when you think about those things?
Oh, look, you know, I struggle actually. The strange thing is, Steve, I struggle to remember what some of those foods were. Like, I remember the almonds, I remember the bread rolls, but I know there were others that I'm forgetting. And that's tapping for you. It feels like it's so cleared out of my system that I can't even remember what some of them were.
Wow. So that's kind of a smile of delight about that fact that it doesn't even register, or it doesn't even stir you up or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sure those companies noticed a difference in their profits in the Bunbury stores, but it's good for me.
Well, that's got to be one of the most disheartening things for people who are struggling with weight issues, is just the feeling of like, I can't stop myself from doing this, and here I go again, and, you know, with those, whatever the things are that you're craving and so on.
My self-hatred was actually getting stronger and worse and more deep-seated with each failed attempt, with each promise to myself that I was going to be different, and then I wasn't. It was getting stronger, it was getting worse, and then it was driving a whole heap of really dysfunctional behaviours, like, you know, weighing myself every morning, which would then send me into a really negative spiral for the start of the day.
Wow. So there's that side of it is something I'd like to talk about, because, you know, you said in what you wrote that the self-acceptance, the whole idea of accepting yourself, was like a new idea to you, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had never heard that idea before, and the fact that back then I was using those the standard sit-up phrases where that's included, and tapping as I was saying it and saying these things out loud. I really had to hone in on that issue. Yeah.
So how did you?
Look, I think repetition and persistence have been my greatest assets in this. And, there were times I felt like it was doing nothing, but I kept going with it, kept repeating it, kept getting focused on this. Because it was such a big issue for me, it was wrecking my life, I put aside everything else.
Yeah.
So I worked on this and this only.
So I think, if we can look at some of the things that you did that have worked, so far, you said, number one, the persistence. You made a big, definite decision to do this. You focused on this on its own instead of focusing on all kinds of different issues. It was all the different parts of this issue and, the whole range of them, but it wasn't, you weren't doing your weight as well as your finances or whatever other, whatever other things of your life. You were just...
For me, everything else was a very low second on that list. Weight for me was the number one thing.
Yeah, and it kind of takes over your, you spend so much of your day focusing on that issue, Yeah.
Yeah, at the time I wasn't focused at work, I was obsessing over food and my weight and devising schemes and charts and books and all sorts of, and goals and all sorts of things to try and help.
In a way, with doing this, you were doing that same thing, except for you were actually adding tapping to each one of those things.
Yes. Yeah, and that was the change. That was the turning point.
And so, yeah, in terms of comprehensive, you were coming up with every belief about food, about weight, about yourself.
Everything I could think of. Even if I felt that it didn't particularly apply to me, I was wanting to be so thorough that I put that down as well. And again, I think that really played in my favour. I put down every emotion. And, you know, I say now, you name it in terms of an emotion, I ate to avoid it. So anything that you can name. And I noticed that I would, as I could see my behaviours, I noticed on a stressful day at work, I would eat more at home and I would go straight to the cupboard.
Okay, so I think that's an interesting thing as well, because like sometimes logically you can say, okay, that doesn't bother me, that's not my issue, but you're like, I don't care. If I can think of it as an issue, if it's an issue for someone, I'm going to do tapping on it anyway.
Yes, yeah, I wanted to be really thorough, and I knew that perhaps my own insights might not be as accurate as they should be. So I thought, well, I'm just going to cover all my bases and just work on everything.
So at what point did you, like you said you did that for about 3 months and then you stopped doing it. At what point did you know that it had worked?
I think actually it was only sort of late into the following 18 months. Yeah, I didn't initially connect. I mean, I know this sounds really strange to you, but initially I didn't actually connect the fact that I had done this tapping with the sustained weight loss that I was experiencing for the first time. I don't know, maybe I didn't want to get my hopes up or for whatever reason, but it was well into that 18 months. So I thought, hang on, I think that tapping did something here. This has really changed me.
This is so funny, you know, like they call it the apex phenomenon, you know, where people don't necessarily associate the tapping with the shifts that they've made. And I know myself, there's been some things I've done tapping and then 6 months later, I'm like, that doesn't bother me anymore. And it used to bother me. And then I remember, oh yeah, I did some tapping on that. And ever since then, it hasn't bothered me, you know?
Amazing feeling, isn't it?
But you talked about those bread rolls, whatever these bread rolls were that you had the thing about, and then you just didn't want them or need them. When was that?
That was early on. I must have identified bread as one of my, you know, sort of go-to foods early on. So what I did one day, you know, when I was working with my list is I didn't have any bread rolls in front of me and I didn't actually want to be in that moment unusually. I just tapped on those bread rolls and everything I could think about them, you know, the smell of them and the look of them and the taste of them, and then, you know, how they'd even gotten into my life in the first place. You know, Mum had bought them when I was a teenager. And then I noticed just from doing that I didn't want them as much, but then I had one terrible day at work and then I bought some on the way home, and I was still learning the tapping points at this stage and reminding myself where they were. And I remember standing at my kitchen bench and I'm kind of shoveling in these bread rolls with one hand and tapping with the other. So I didn't finish the bread rolls. I think I stopped, and the tapping was able to stop me that day and I didn't touch them again.
Okay, so you did tapping when you weren't activated on those bread rolls, you know, and when you didn't have any to, you know, to have to go and run to and so on. And then you also did tapping when you did the thing. Like we found this in our research on cravings. You know, we had people doing tapping on the craving itself, and then when they had the thing there, it was different. And we had them add the tapping to the process of eating the food. And we found in that when they could actually eat the food and not feel guilty afterwards and not feel down on themselves afterwards, that was a really key time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I think all components of that are really important. Yeah.
So when you were doing the tapping on that day, you know, like you had a bad day, so that's the time, of course, that you're going to go for the comfort or the thing that does the stress relief, and you're stuffing the things in and doing the tapping. Did you say you didn't finish them?
I didn't finish them. And I don't know if that's because I'd done the imaginary bread roll in my office a few days before, a couple of weeks before. I can't quite remember. But for some reason, that was the tipping point, and that was the point where they lost their interest to me, their power over me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the proof for the pudding is in the eating kind of thing, or the proof in this case is in the not eating, being able to stop eating.
Yes.
Because before you would have had to keep going.
Oh, absolutely. And I could eat those things fast. I could basically almost inhale them. I ate so quickly.
I think that's the great thing too about it. Like, you know, that there's exposure therapy where you kind of push yourself through the situation and so on. But because you've done all that tapping before, maybe that was why you were able to actually, you know, didn't take much in the situation to finish that.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so there's, you know, persistence, definite like decision to focus on this on its own, everything you can think of, whether or not it activates you or not, doing the tapping, and even if you don't feel a result, just sticking with it.
Yeah.
Although you weren't doing it every day, you weren't forcing yourself to, you know.
No, and also the written list really helped me, having that to go back to and go over. I don't know about used to, but sometimes now if I'm tapping on an issue, I don't necessarily keep written notes like I used to. And I think looking back, that was a really smart decision to write it down, and then just the repetition of going over and knowing exactly where things were, and the visual reminder of the paper, you know, on the desk, that helped.
Well, that's what I found with doing, you know, I've done journaling a number of times, and I do it on the computer rather than writing it down. And I'm in front of the computer and, you know, whatever the thought comes and I type it. And so when I was doing my self-acceptance work, you know, I was typing on, you know, the words from EFT back when we were using the setup statement, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I thought, no, I do not, you know, and then I started tapping on that, and that was where things started to shift, you know. But then I could go back on where I was and I could go, oh my gosh, I don't think that anymore. I don't believe that anymore. I don't feel that anymore. Yeah. So I think there's something in that too, because when people make shifts in this area, there's something about recording stuff, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's been so great to be able to, you know, show people and say, you know, look at what I was working with. And the photo as well from, you know, before, you know, when I work with women now with weight loss issues, they're surprised to see how I looked back then.
Do you mind, could we add a scan of that? Maybe we could put that on the website, you know, one of your pages or something like that.
My makeup looked absolutely fantastic that night. Someone told me I looked like Catherine Zeta-Jones, so I was thrilled.
No, I'm talking about your lists.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Because you're using them now with people, you're helping people with weight stuff, and you've been doing that for a while and, you know, doing some of the same things. So I'm presuming you mean you share that with them, or you talk about...
I mean, I just showed them. I mean, I'd certainly write it up differently now, but look, it was just sort of handwritten ideas, and I encourage them to do the same, and we kind of work out a bit of a list together, actually.
So how would you do it differently now?
It was just a little bit... just a little bit disorganized in that I just almost wrote stream of consciousness as I wrote it. So it's a bit, you know, one page has got a bit of about, you know, eating for feelings, and then it goes into, you know, my weight's stuck at this number, and then the next page goes into the feelings again. So I just sort of like to organize it a little bit more.
Oh, you're just so organized. Whereas my feeling is the stream of consciousness thing feels better to me, you know, it kind of feels more real.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's very real. It's very real.
So, like, you know, just blurt it all out. That's what you did. And then you just started tapping away on all of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what would you say to somebody who's in the situation where you were? I mean, what do you say? Because you do this all the time now in your work, you know?
Yeah, look, I think the most important thing is, you know, the changes that can come, and giving people that hope that, you know, this could be tapping can be just so life-changing, and it can work at deeper levels and make some really deep changes. And that's sort of starting point for me, giving people that hope and giving them, you know, a place to get started.
You don't have to fight to maintain your new weight.
Honestly, I barely even think about it. You know, in terms of my own, barely enters my mind, except for, you know, when I'm discussing with people what happened to me and what I did. It's just such a non-issue now. My mind's free to think about other things. Yeah.
And can you tell me what, like, you went to your doctor, what was that story? Can you share that?
Sure. So I've got a lovely sort of family doctor that I'd shifted maybe about 6 years ago and seen this guy who's closer to my home. He's a lovely man. And he's one of those doctors that weighs you every single time that you walk in and takes your blood pressure as well. So in the past, that would have really triggered me, but, I'm fine with all that now. And he said something, just recently, he said, check my weight. He said something like, Emma, how do you do this? Like, how do you just stay always the same? And my coach showed me a bit of disbelief. And I was like, oh, look, it's just really easy for me. And I spared him. I thought, well, you didn't know me back then, and I'll spare you the long conversation. He didn't really want the long answer. But
he's not ready to learn about tapping.
He's not ready to learn that, but I guess he just wanted to acknowledge that, which was really nice. And it's really something I don't put any effort into now.
And this is the part of it that fascinates me, because in that process of doing all that work on beliefs, quite apart from, working on the cravings and working on the foods and all that kind of stuff, you've actually worked on your body's entire system, weight maintenance system, and changed the set point.
Yes.
And, we talked about that a bit, and you said something like it's really an identity change.
Yes. The weight for me was so defining. It really, I really defined myself by it and really got hooked into it, and it was all I could really see about myself. I had quite a distorted view of how big I was. I felt like I was, probably 100 kilos heavier than I actually was. And I think that all just changed, and I totally changed how I thought of myself. My identity changed, and that has been really key as well.
So there's something in working on those beliefs, and doing the tapping actually gets it into your body, so that your body isn't actually anymore fighting with your intention. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Which is an amazing thing when you think about it, Steve, isn't it? I mean, that's amazing.
It is.
But it's what happened.
And good on you. And thank you so much, because I do think that this will actually give a lot of people hope and show them what can be done with tapping, really. Obviously, there's no guarantee that if they follow what you did that they're going to get the same things. But, I remember some guy said, if you reach for the stars, you might not get one, but you're not going to come up with a handful of mud. And if people do tapping on everything that they can think of, that stirs them up or might be a belief or whatever about their weight, I'm sure they're going to get something good happening.
Yeah, no, I've certainly seen some really significant and really interesting changes with the women, tend to be women, that I've worked with over the years.
Yeah, and we've got your articles, like the one you wrote 6-7 years ago about this, and then another one that you wrote recently, and we'll post this video on the website. And there's other stuff as well. There's other people that have been using tapping on weight issues and self-acceptance issues and that kind of stuff. So I want to give people that just to follow up, and also so that there's a way that they can follow up with you. So let me just go back to your picture again. This is the you now 2 months ago picture. More of you than we can see on the screen right now. And just in terms of following up and finding out more, so one is people can go to our website, EFTDoneUnder.com, and they can also go to our blog, EFTDoneUnder.com/blog, but it's also on, up on the top of the screen there of your browser when you go to EFTDoneUnder.com. And you should be able to find it quite simply, or just search on weight loss and you'll be able to find the things that Emma wrote, which is kind of you going into depth in writing about the steps that you went through, so people can actually take that and follow some of those steps along. And for people who want to follow up with you, obviously you're in Bunbury, but also there's, I don't know, you're starting to work with people in other parts of the world and stuff like that, are you not?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I'm doing quite a few Skype sessions now. That's
yeah. So they can follow you up using the link at the bottom of the screen, Psychological Services, bunbury.com.au. And or search on your business, which is New Growth Psychological Services. And yeah, it'd be fantastic, to get more of this stuff out to help more people who've been suffering with weight issues and emotional eating and, all that kind of stuff, because it's just a huge issue at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, no, someone commented on one of the articles, soul crushing, and I thought, oh yes, that's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, and for you, that's in your past, but you can remember what that's like, and that's what I think.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
That's what I think makes the information that you're giving us so much more valuable, because it comes from the personal experience, and you're a guiding light. So thank you so much for being part of this.
It's been my pleasure.
Really appreciate what you shared freely with everybody, and I hope that people will follow up with you and do work with you, and yeah, we can get this out to help more people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Steve.
No worries. Ciao for now.
See ya.